the Bob Mills Weather Center, the Oklahoma weather expert, Travis Meyer.
I don't know if you saw in the background, but right behind Cal, there was a flag that was flying and it was actually moving. That's something that hasn't happened the last couple of days. One of the big helpful events today was the fact that things are changing. This big ridge of high pressure has dominated the weather. We talked about it ad nauseum, but the tropical system, and it was called Harold. It was briefly a tropical storm as it went into south portions of Texas, and it is getting into the time period where we're going to get into the peak of tropical season here as we go on into September. So we're going to start talking a lot more about that stuff. But anyway, it is now pretty much over the four corners of the Southwest. And that's going to be looping around and then coming across Nebraska and Kansas tomorrow. And then some of those clouds are going to filter back down into our area. And so it's kind of weird because some of that tropical moisture that'll have been in Texas, it'll go all the way to the four corners and then come back around over from the north and come back south. So it'll be unique, but that's a sign that this heat dome is dying out. And I think people in Nebraska and Minnesota and South Dakota are happy about it. So far, Minneapolis and Pierre, South Dakota, temperatures in the 80s today, much better than it has been. Nebraska still has to wait another day or two before they get rid of it. We're going to have to wait a couple more days. You can see Dallas was at 107. It's just been hot and nasty. So that's one of the situations that we have. Now, here's the good news is that, yes, it's on top of us now, but all the data tonight continues to push it to the west. So we're on track that on Sunday is pretty much transition day, and that's when we go from really hot weather of Saturday to like, hey, I can actually breathe today, and I can walk outside and not think I have to take a shower 10 minutes after you've been outside, maybe 5 minutes, maybe a minute. Anyway, it should stay out west as we go on through early next week, which will keep us more on a west-northwest flow. Now, it won't be cold or cool, but it'll be just so much better. It'll feel cool. We do expect by Friday that to be moving back over into our area. It won't be as intense as it was, so that will be helpful as we go to Labor Day weekend. New drought monitor is in. Much of Texas is getting hit awful hard because there hasn't been any moisture except far south, but it is really nasty. And then of course the breadbasket, which was supposed to not really have this, they've never been able to shake this, and that includes part of our area. But Texas has been hit just hard. 40, 50 days now without rain, 100, 110 every day. I mean, you can't survive. Everything's brown and burnt. Same thing up to the north of us, and that's still in our area. So that's still an issue that we're dealing with just from near Tulsa back to the north. It's just dry, and it just hasn't really rained a ton across northern Osage and into portions of south central and southeastern Kansas. Anyway, things are going to improve. Tonight it's still very warm across the area, 91 in Norman. Tomorrow, another excessive heat warning in effect from Highway 75 to the east. We'll deal with it because we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Tomorrow morning, though, with upper 70s to near 80, not a whole lot of changes going on. And tomorrow afternoon, not a lot of changes. Isolated shower, thunderstorm, southeast Oklahoma for you guys in the afternoon, so don't be surprised. Where are those clouds coming from? They're coming from the top of your screen going south. That is part of the tropical moisture that's kind of wrapping all the way around. That high is all the way off to the west and starting to pull down some moisture. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens. So on Saturday, although not much, there is going to be an isolated thunderstorm chance across Kansas. Most of our temperatures are going to be doggone hot still, upper 90s to low 100s. And then a chance of a few hit and miss scattered showers and storms. Notice Sunday's temperatures still 100 plus south while we're in the 80s to the north. So that's again our transition day. So Monday, check this out. I love showing that. Isolated showers, some clouds around, temperatures in the 80s. Get to do that on Tuesday. Odds of rain are going to be scattered. Best chances probably in southeast Kansas for heavier rains, but we do have a chance of a quarter inch of rain, but that's what looks cool. That looks good because finally near normal or below, and the Labor Day weekend should be pretty warm with a slight chance of a storm and then maybe turning cooler on Labor Day. That's the latest. Meantime, it's still awful warm. It's just awful. Okay, we'll leave it at that. The afternoon, 103. Heat index is 110 to 115. Excessive heat warnings in effect. Hopefully Saturday will be the end of that mess, and then we get into some decent weather, which is pretty sad when you say mid-90s is decent, but that's what we're going to have to say because it has been ugly up to this point.
Been a little toasty out there.
It sure has. Oof.